Hello again, welcome back everyone. LiquorHound here with you. Thank you for joining me once again for another spirit review video. Now today we're going to get back to reviewing some more vodkas for you. And unlike my previous two vodka taste test videos where I did 16 in a row, as you can see I've cut that number in half. The reason is those videos are just too long. So I'm trying to make it a little more palatable for you, the viewer. Alright, let's introduce the players. First up, Vikingfjord vodka. Vikingfjord vodka is coming out of Norway. It's actually a potato-based vodka that's distilled 5 times and then charcoal filtered. Next up, Double Cross vodka from Slovakia. Now, Double Cross is a wheat-based vodka that's distilled 7 times and then filtered 7 times as well through diamond dust microstreams, limestone, and charcoal. Very fancy. Alright, Shevkoff. Shevkoff vodka from Ukraine. This vodka is distilled from wheat. Now, according to the website where I bought the bottle, which is Specs here in Texas, they actually distill it 9 times and then filter it 5. Now when I looked for a little more information on that online, I heard a lot of people talking about it being distilled 215 times. Now a lot of times what the distillery doesn't tell you when they're talking about these high numbers of distillations in vodkas is that they have a massive column stills, maybe a few columns in that still, and what happens is those columns are filled with a bunch of trays. So as the beer is coming down, that's what it's called when it's that, starch converted into sugars, water, and the yeast. As it's coming down, those trays, there might be 60 trays, let's say. So that's 60 distillations in one pass, all right? So that's probably the case there for that 215 count. But either way, what's important is how does it finish? How does it taste? And we're going to find that out here in just a minute. Next up, going from the Ukraine here to Moldova, the country right next door. It's sandwiched right in between Ukraine and Romania. This is Exclusiv 1, another wheat vodka. This one's distilled 5 times and then charcoal filtered. Very, very inexpensive, around $10. Now, we're going all the way to Canada with Iceberg vodka. And I've got to thank my friend John up in Canada for helping me acquire this bottle. What makes this vodka so unique is A, they're using strictly corn as the distillate base. Now, once they run it through the still, it gets 3 distillations. After that third distillation, they actually are bringing that vodka down to proof using water that is melted from harvested, you got it, icebergs. They go out there, look for that really pure, clean ice, pick it up, and they like to talk about how that's from glaciers that are 10 to 12,000 years old, so technically really, really pure water, hopefully. So we're going to see how that tastes here in a few minutes. Now, to Lithuania. Lithuania Black Diamond Edition. This is distilled from grain 4 times, and then it's filtered through gold and charcoal. Okay. Next, to Russian vodka. Moscow Gold Black Diamond Edition. This is distilled from grain. They don't tell me which grain. And it is distilled 10 times and then filtered through silver ion and charcoal. No number on the filtration count, so who knows there. But this bottle looks very similar. They're both from the same importer, which is Spirit Group Inc., which also imports Shevkoff. But what makes me wonder about these two probably coming from the same distillery is the recipe, all right? This is White Gold Black Diamond Edition. Now, they do mention that they're using wheat, rye, and barley, so they actually tell me the grain. Beyond that, it's distilled the same amount, 10 times. Then it is filtered 3 times using silver ion and charcoal, just as this one did, but they add a little quartz to the filtration method. So we'll see how it differs. Alright, back, and let's over here, Vikingfjord, to the nose. Just a medium amount of alcohol coming off on the nose, but it does smell very creamy, very little touch of vanilla running throughout. And that's that potato, that starch, turning into a lot of sugars. And it smells very, very nice. You just have to fight your way. It's got a little bit of almost like ethanol coming through. But other than that, very, very creamy smelling vodka. Alright, slow. This one is Double Cross. Now this one, again, almost a medium amount of ethanol coming through on the nose. That perceivable alcohol. But once you get past that, there's actually a really nice crisp grain note running throughout. That's that wheat grain. It does feel like a touch of cracked white pepper is in there as well. and just a hint of vanilla is running through there. Other than that, very, very clean smelling. It feels a little sharp on that nose. That's that cracked white pepper. Alright, Shevkoff. Wheat-based. Just above a mild amount of that alcohol on the nose. Really, really sweet smelling and very clean. No perceivable aromatics other than a very light grain and that sweetness. Exclusiv one, wheat-based. Now this one, the grain smells a little richer. That wheat is feeling a little fuller, almost like the little bit of yeast is still in there, a little distilled, fermented grain. And really nice, clean grain note going throughout, a little bit of vanilla as well. But other than that, fairly clean. Alright, Iceberg vodka. Wow. Now that's aromatic. That one, the corn actually makes it feel, there's a good amount of sweet corn running throughout. There's a really nice thick level of vanilla, so you're almost getting this candy corn element. There's also some mint in there, very noticeable on the mint. When you mix those three together, you almost get a candy corn with a little bit of, I don't know, menthol. A little bit of menthol in there. But it's actually just that sweet corn and that touch of mint. Alright, Lithuanian Black Edition, sorry. The alcohol level on this one is almost a medium. It's a little bit higher than, I wouldn't just describe it as mild. It's right in between there. It does smell a little sharp. A little bit of that cracked white pepper element that I was getting over here is also in this one. Other than the very light grain running throughout, very, very clean smelling. Just have to fight through that little bit of alcohol as well. Alright, Moscow Gold. Black Diamond Edition. Wow. Kind of like this one, where the grain running through also feels rather full. Feels like a little bit of that yeast is in here. Beyond that, real subtle vanilla, making it feel rather sweet. Very, very clean as well. White Gold Black Edition. A little more, maybe a touch more of that pepper spice on the aromatic, but they are very similar. Very mild on the alcohol coming off on the nose. Fairly sweet, fairly creamy also feeling on the nose. As far as the vanilla, again, really, really light underneath, but overall, just a really nice grain note. Okay? Alright, Vikingfjord on the taste. Wow. Very creamy, fairly soft on the entry. Goes down really nice. There's no real burn yet. Let's see. A lot of vanilla. Just creamy, sweet vanilla. A little bit of spice picking up, ramping up towards the finish. But on the entry, it feels like a really nice vodka, very expensive vodka. But then as soon as you get to that finish, it ramps up on that spice, that cracked white pepper is coming in. Finish is rather long though. It finishes very, very nicely. So it never gets too hot. Very, very good vodka. Double Cross. Wow. This one felt creamy. I wouldn't describe the texture as silky. This one's getting closer to silky. That's just a little better than just a creamy feel. Wow. But the wheat is making itself known. Spice buildup as well heading into that finish. A little touch of ethanol on the finish coming through on the palate. That's what's providing that spice. Whereas on this one, I wasn't really noticing it on the palate. This one I do notice it, but the grain is much richer here. Overall, very enjoyable, but that would be best served chilled. Of course, I always taste nice and room temp, just so that I can search for the flaws. All right, Shevkoff. Wow. Very creamy. Medium amount of sweetness, a lot of vanilla coming through. That wheat, again, similar to this one, is making itself known because it is feeling rather full on the grain note. So when you combine that wheat and that vanilla, it just makes it really enjoyable, especially with that amount of sweetness that's running through. Yeah, that's really, really nice vodka. Yeah, it never even gets as hot as Double Cross did. Okay. Exclusiv 1, another wheat one. Wow. Again, very creamy, very soft feeling. Both these kind of feel very similar. This one does have a little more of that pepper spice. Just about both are equally sweet. Wheat does make it very similar, but the difference is on this one, on the finish, when I breathe the air in and then exhale through my nose, I'm always searching for that little bit of rubbing alcohol on that finish, and I do find some here that I did not find as much on this one. I would classify that as a flaw in that vodka. But overall, for $10, that might beat a lot of vodkas if I was blindfolded. Alright, Iceberg vodka from corn. Wow, that is the softest one yet. Not a very clean tasting vodka. It's very flavorful, just like the aromatics, that sweet corn, that vanilla. The sweetest of them all so far. Searching for that mint. It's under there, but it's very, very minute compared to how it was on the aromatic. Overall, just a really nice sweet corn and vanilla running through, but it feels super soft on the palate. Very, very nice vodka. Lithuanian Black Edition. Ugh. I always get these three confused. Wow, that one's really nice. It kind of feels as soft and creamy as these did. Wow, feels very similar. The grain, though, as it's running through, it does pick up a little spice on that mid palate. I wouldn't call it hot, but it picks up that spice. But then it all melds right back together with that sweetness as you enter the long finish. A very long finish on this one. But it still feels clean. That's the one thing about it. You know, it's very flavorful, but it finishes clean. Alright, Moscow Gold. Now the Black Diamond Edition. Grain, 10 times distilled. Wow, the best mouthfeel so far. And that's saying something, because this one felt very soft. This one equally feels soft, but it's not as sweet. So it feels like a traditional vodka, almost like the Beluga Gold line, where you get this really rich grain note running through. You'll also get a little bit of vanilla, just the perfect amount of vanilla to complement that grain. It feels really creamy and soft, almost like a cream soda, let's say. Touch of malt in here as well. On the finish, I do get the subtle hint of a little bit of that ethanol coming on the palate, but not bad considering all that was happening up front. To pick that little bit up on the finish is no big deal. It's actually really, really nice. All right, White Gold Black Edition. Wow, it feels almost identical on the palate, but to whereas this one was getting a little bit of spice, this one doesn't. Feels really clean. Very creamy. Vanilla. Take it back. Spice, the heat is building a little bit on this finish. Still, they're both very, very close. Wow, that's really good. Let me see. I'm going right back here to this one because I've got to compare this real quick. I really like that malt aspect that one had, almost like a vanilla malt underneath that rich grain. That touch of rubbing alcohol on that finish on that one is the only negative, but I really like that malt that's up front that this one did not have. So this one feels cleaner, softer, but this one has a little more flavor, but the scratch is, again, that little bit of alcohol on the finish. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep leaving those great comments. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and I'll try to answer them when I can. Everybody have a great evening, and cheers.